Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
Now, while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Whoa, it's Kashan from the future. Don't worry, we're fighting back the robot army. But in the meantime, why don't you get ready for our live show that's happening on October 27th. It's a Friday, next Friday. You can go to our YouTube, youtube.com/whitecollarsredhands. Subscribe to our page. It's going to be there at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on October 27th. Anyway, time to get back to fighting all these T-1000s. Yeah, Skynet, turns out that's a real thing.
Food insecurity is an issue that is felt around the globe. In the United States alone, 34 million people experience food insecurity, 9 million of those people being children. In just about every city, you see programs for food banks or cooked meals that are given to those less fortunate. When the 2020 pandemic hit, food insecurity became a bigger issue than ever. Thankfully, here in Chicago, the school district still provided food for families who needed it so that kids would not go hungry when they were not able to attend school. However, not every city was able to provide those resources. The government gave money to organizations to distribute food in their communities. One organization was Feeding Our Future, which had its home in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, this sounds like a good organization. They're feeding kids. What happened? Find out on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
I got food insecurity. I'm insecure about how much food I eat.
Wow, Kashan. Wow, this is very District 1 of you right now.
I got No, not like that. Not like put you down, you know? I got other insecurities too, okay?
We could list them all right now.
Let's not.
Let's list all of Kashan's insecurities.
The audience isn't paid to therapize me. And neither are you.
You're right.
No one can. I don't need it. I'm too mentally strong. I
don't think my eyes can roll far enough back into my skull.
I just have too much mental fortitude to, to ever have to change or grow, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not me, not this guy. I'm saying stagnant and the same forever because I'm already the best.
All right. Well, on that note, welcome back to the best podcast ever with one of the best hosts ever. Welcome back to another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
I'm Kashan.
And I'm Nina. And this week we are going to talk about Aimee Bock and Feeding Our Future.
Any relation to Johann Sebastian, or is it like...
They spelled different. They're spelled different.
Of course.
Johann Sebastian Bach is B-A-C-H, and Aimee Bock is B-O-C-K, like a chicken.
Oh, okay. Bach! Or she's related to the beer.
Bach!
Great.
I'm going to say her name like that the rest of the show.
Please don't. Here's the thing: is part of a podcast is getting people to listen to it.
Oh, that's true.
And if you balk too much into the microphone, our analytics have shown that the people don't like chicken.
You don't like my chicken impression?
They don't. I'm saying, hey, if for me, I love it. Mm-hmm. But it's just that it seems like everyone else doesn't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, gonna have to.
All right. Well, I'll stop my chicken impression and get into the story. So, like I said, our story today, it actually involves a lot of different people, but mainly centers around a woman named Aimee Bock. Okay, I'm done.
You get one more, dude. That has to be the last one, okay? People are clicking off this in droves right now, all right? They're all going to Swindled right now. Every single person here is like, never mind. We're going over to this other podcast.
No. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. It centers around a woman named Aimee Bock. Now, Bock was an elementary education major who became a daycare worker. She never actually was a full-time teacher due to the fact that she had 2 children and then she never went into the classroom. But I don't blame her. As someone who works in a classroom every single day, stay out of there, Aimee.
You say she wasn't a teacher because she had children?
Yeah, so she had her kids and then never went into the classroom.
Oh, she was just like on double maternity leave, like 18 months of maternity leave?
No, she got her job in elementary education, but like never actually got a teaching position.
She sucked.
I guess.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. In 2013, Bock joined the Minnesota Association for the Education of Young Children. Say that 5 times fast.
Yes, the MAKE.
She helped over 300 child care centers get accreditation. She was pretty good at her job. She did what she needed to do, helped people get what they needed. In 2015, she started working for the company Provider's Choice, which was the largest sponsor of government meal programs in the U.S. You have WIC, you have things like that, but not everybody, I don't know all the ins and outs of.
So it's just like there's governmental funds available, but like the government doesn't set up the spaces to actually do the meal distribution. Is that kind of what it is?
Right, yeah.
Okay, because I was like, hey, I was a reduced lunch kid. Should have been a free lunch kid. I have no idea why I wasn't getting free lunches. We were poor as hell. 40 cents a day?
What the fuck? Like, what's the point?
Man. Yeah.
What's mind-boggling to me is that I work for Chicago Public Schools, and we give out free lunch to every single student. Now, part of that is because of our funding with the state. But like every kid gets a free lunch. Every student does. And it's just crazy to me. Like when you're talking about reduced lunch, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forget that people even still have. I know this sounds crazy, but I forget that people even have to pay for lunch.
Yo, all my poor kids out there, let me know if you ever showed up and didn't have enough. This happened to me. I didn't have enough money on my account, so I got through the whole lunch line. I had my lunch. And they didn't give
you lunch?
And they were like, we have to take this away from you. No, they had a lunch that they could give you for free, but they took away like the hot lunch that you had, and it was a bagged lunch with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and like a piece of fruit, and you got a milk.
Fuck off.
And that was it. And because I like, you could get 2 lunches like on credit or something, so I like owed them 80 cents, and they were like, yeah, you got to have you got to eat the sad peanut butter and jelly out of a brown bag in front of all your friends.
Fuck off.
And I was like, bro.
Now, I will say that our like school lunches are fucking disgusting, and it is abomination what we serve to those children.
God, I wish I could go back and eat that pizza.
Okay, the pizza still looks fucking fire.
Oh, it's all.
I'm not gonna lie about that. Our pizza looks fire. But yesterday they served chicken tenders and beans, and not baked beans, like pinto beans.
Gee, what is a prison?
It looked like prison food. And then they had cut up pineapple with 2 tidbits of pineapple in it. I was like, what the fuck are we giving these kids?
Whatever Cisco wants, man.
God, it's awful. It's awful. Well, while working for Provider's Choice, Bock would meet Christine Twait.
Yeah, make sure you pronounce the I in that name. All right, because we're like,
don't accidentally pronounce an N.
We're one vowel away. What, Twaint?
Taint.
You got to get rid of the W.
Oh yeah, you got to
whatever. It's one I away from being a very dangerous.
Though you know what? There's a lot going on in this name that makes it dangerous. Twait. Okay, like Kuwait. All right. The two would later found Feeding Our Future together. Now, Bock and Twait became very frustrated while working for Provider's Choice because they were hoping to sign up over 100 child care centers for meal programs, but within the first year, they were only able to sign up 18. They said that this was because Provider's Choice would go through a lot of unnecessary red tape in order to make sure that the centers were eligible. Which, like...
It's a governmental program. I'm sorry, but it's like you do anything with the government and there's going to be a lot of paperwork involved.
Well, yeah, and we're going to find out later in our story why there is so much red tape for this kind of stuff. Because unfortunately, it does seem like a no-brainer that, like, yeah, we're giving out food to kids. Let's just, like, give them money. But not everybody can be trusted with money like that.
Yeah.
So
I was like... Whatever it is, nothing much. I work in one of the most regulated industries in the country, which is healthcare. So, yeah, you got to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you do. So Twait and Bock broke off from Provider's Choice and started their own center, Partners in Nutrition. Now, Twait left the company in 2017 after they had sued the Minnesota Board of Education to win approval for their new company. And I'm sorry, I am going to correct myself. I said that they founded Feeding Our Future. earlier. I meant to say that they founded Partners in Nutrition. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So Twait left the company in 2017, like I said, after they sued the Minnesota Board of Education to win approval for their new company. The Board of Education did not want to give them approval. Not 100% sure why they didn't want to give approval, but they ended up winning the case. But it was too much for Twait. It really weighed heavy on her mental health. And so once Twait left the company, Bock was now completely in charge. Now, what I am finding is that there is some discrepancy on what happened. But Bock ended up leaving Partners in Nutrition and started Feeding Our Future in 2018.
So how long were they doing the Finding Our Future, the Partners in Nutrition, the middle one?
It seems like about a year and a half-ish.
Okay, so it just never really got off the ground.
Well, no, it did, because allegedly Bock was fired from Partners in Nutrition because of misconduct.
Didn't she start the company?
She started the company, and then she got fired from the company.
You gotta fuck up real bad.
Yeah.
All right. This is like starting a theater group and getting kicked out.
Literally.
All right. It's gonna make you feel this kind of way.
Yes. So she says she left. Other reports I was reading says she was fired. I will be honest with you. A lot of this story is still in the works. So I was gathering a lot of my information from local newspaper articles.
Hey, a primary news source.
Which is a primary news source. News source.
My middle school history teacher taught me anything.
Yeah.
That's a primary source, baby.
Yes. But there is some discrepancy on what happened because this case is actually ongoing. So Feeding Our Future was successful and also kind of sneaky because it ended up taking 28 meal sites from Partners in Nutrition, which obviously pissed off Partners in Nutrition.
You fired me. You deserve this. If I steal your customer base and you fired me, get fucked.
Yeah, right. Literally. Bock, it's noted that Bock isn't afraid of conflict and that she can be kind of intimidating, which if you saw her, you'd be shocked to know that she just isn't sweet as pie. She looks like a very nice lady with adult acne.
Oh, man, like Caroline Ellison. He's the CEO of Alameda.
I was going to say, it was that. Yes, that's that girl.
Sam Bankman-Fried's like mousy as shit, like on and off again.
Girlfriend.
Yeah. Like just her if she was like super overbearing.
She looks nothing like her. So many providers were actually attracted to Feeding Our Future versus other meal distribution nonprofits because Feeding Our Future only took 10% of reimbursement fees for administrative fees and other ones took 15%. So they were getting a deal.
I mean, that's a way to do it.
Yep. So this whole thing is weird because you're supposed to just be feeding kids and there really shouldn't be any competition, in my opinion. But here we are. We're going to make a money.
This is America.
This is America, baby. Capitalism.
The free market libertarian somewhere just like screaming into a pillow.
From 2019 to 2020, Bock started aggressively hiring, and specifically those in the Somali community. She worked very closely with the Somali community. Not 100% sure why necessarily. Now, I will say when she was working at the child care centers, and when she was first working with Provider's Choice, she did work with mainly immigrant families and lower income families. I'm wondering, she must have been, I didn't look up the demographics, but she must have been in a lot of Somali people must have immigrated to whatever area of Minneapolis she was in.
I don't know. I think she just saw that Tom Hanks movie and took the "I'm the captain now" thing
and really
way
took
too
it seriously.
She was like, "This has to be real life now."
She's like, "I'm the captain," though.
She was like, "Look at how hard these people work. I'm only hiring Somali people from now on."
You're probably right.
She's like, Tom Hanks. All Tom Hanks movies are real.
Well, they are.
You saw Forrest Gump? All that stuff happens. So,
have you seen Castaway?
It happens.
Have you seen Big?
Happens because Zoltar's a thing. Okay,
that all happens.
And I've seen those floor pianos. They exist.
They do.
So it had to have happened.
Yeah. No, I can't think of another Tom Hanks movie right now.
Actually, Tom Hanks is just all movies are just documentaries following Tom Hanks. And they just keep capturing these crazy stories that happens as he goes through life. It's wild.
Yeah, like have you ever seen The Terminal?
I can't believe Tom Hanks was stuck in that airport
inside of an airport for so long.
And he speaks another language.
It's crazy.
That's crazy, right? Cloud Atlas, like who knew that entire future society just like existed somewhere?
I didn't know.
Crazy.
I didn't know.
There's all those tattoos.
I never saw that movie.
No one did. It sucks.
Oh, poor Tom Hanks.
Yeah. That was his transition from being like, I'm an Oscar actor to being like, I'm old.
Oh.
So
Tom Hanks was not part of Feeding Our Future. The organization grew to 65 employees who spoke over 17 languages, which is honestly a really incredible resource because you can reach a lot of people who are in need, especially when, and I do think Bock was very strategic with that because she did want to, it was putting I really do believe that when she started out, not with Feeding Our Future, but I believe that when she started out in childcare, when she started with the meal distribution programs, I really don't think that she was trying to earn money. I really do think she was trying to help people. And so and specifically people, she was trying to help people of color. She was trying to help immigrants. So if you do have 65 people that work for you that speak 17 different languages, you really are a very incredible resource for the community. However, as we're going to find out, greed takes over.
The road to hell, they say, right?
Paved with good intentions.
Paved with a bunch of hungry children that need fed.
Not the hungry children.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that wouldn't be too out of place in hell. You're like, wow, a bunch of hungry kids.
Yeah, that's true.
You must have all been unbaptized, huh? Anyway.
Or aborted. Didn't you know that aborted kids go to hell?
Same thing. Because they're unbaptized.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
How are you going to baptize a fetus? All right? You can't get the holy water up there.
That's true.
All right?
Well, you can, but...
It's so much work.
A syringe.
Though. Yeah, so much work. God.
So when COVID-19 swept the world in 2020, food insecurity increased. The Federal Child Nutrition Program is a program run by the Department of Agriculture and is intended to provide food to children of low-income families. As many of us know, like I said even earlier in the episode, lots of kids rely on food that they receive from school to feed themselves. Like I was saying earlier, like my district, we provide 2 free meals a day. We provide breakfast and lunch to students. And unfortunately, for some children, this is the only food that they will get all day. So it was great that the government made it possible for them to get food. When the pandemic hit, Congress expanded the program and made it easier to be eligible for the program. They even allowed for-profit restaurants to participate in the program, and food was allowed to be distributed outside of educational programs because prior to this, it had to be an educational program in which the food was distributed out of.
Oh, so this can be like they used to do, well, they still do it, but like in the summers, they'll do like meal giveaways and things too. Mm-hmm. I know that they used to do that at schools. Like you could stop by even on like times when it was off to get food.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if we do that, but I know that some people do.
I do know that schools in Chicago do it though, because I've seen posters for it. So.
Yeah. I do think that not every school does it. I think there's like designated schools.
Well, there's so many schools in Chicago. In my hometown, there was like a high school. So
right. That's different. Yeah.
Yeah. You just go to that place.
Yeah. So honestly, realistically, this should have happened because people legitimately needed food. Bock saw this as an opportunity and she seized it for all that it was worth. So after this happened, after Congress, lifted these restrictions and it became easier for people to start distributing food in other places other than educational programs, Feeding Our Future opened over 200 distribution sites in Minnesota. They kept expanding. And this is good, right? They're feeding more kids. Unfortunately, that is not what was happening. Feeding Our Future started opening so many sites that the Minnesota Department of Education became suspicious of them. The Minnesota Department of Education started looking at their site applications more carefully and denied a couple dozen of them.
It's like a Starbucks. There's just like a food distribution place on every single corner.
Literally.
You're like, how do these stay in business? My God, you gotta I can walk 5 minutes and get to another one.
No, that's literally what was happening. They were making so many, putting in so many applications for distribution sites that, over 200 of them. That's insane. It's a lot. Now, it wasn't just in Minneapolis. This was all over the state.
I'm about to say, I guess if it's in the entire state, that sounds like...
But this is just feeding our future. This isn't
I guess
all meal distribution sites. There wasn't just 200 meal distribution sites in the state. This was just coming out of feeding our future.
Fair. I have no idea what the landscape looks like. You know how bad I am at geography. I don't even know.
It looks like a boot.
That doesn't help.
It's the one at the one at the top by Canada that looks like a boot.
Italy looks like a boot too. That doesn't let me know how many fucking people are there, how dense the population is.
Oh, well, I don't know about the population size. Let's look.
The shape of the state has nothing to do with how many distribution centers fit in there.
5.7 million people live in Minnesota.
That's not very much.
No, considering that 3 million people live in Chicago.
3.7 in the greater Chicagoland area.
That's a lot of, not very many people.
No, it's not.
I think more people live in Ohio.
Wow. That's why no one's ever Minnesota. Milwaukee's there, right?
11 million people live in Ohio. There's double the amount of people in Ohio than Minnesota.
Well, that's because every person in Ohio counts for 2 people.
Why?
Because all that fucking corn they're eating, they're huge.
Oh, because we're fat as fuck?
Correct.
Fat as fuck, bro.
That's why.
Look at me.
It's because...
I'm a monster. I'm a whale before your eyes.
No, Nina, please. Stop eating all the food. It's for the children.
Seal. I look like a seal.
It's for the children.
Feeding our future, more like feeding my fat ass.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You happy about that one? You want to do over? You want to try another one?
I was going to say feeding Nina.
Oh, yeah, that's worse. Don't do that
so
one.
feeding my fat ass.
Okay. If you had ass, it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
If you add ass to anything, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Add too much ass, it's going to become a rap music video, okay?
That would be kind of fun. What if... No, actually, it wouldn't. We would be terrible at a rap music video.
Absolutely. Look at me. Look at you. Do we look like the people that should be doing rap?
What do the people who look like they should be doing rap look like?
Not us. Okay? Because we look like we should be starting a Mumford & Sons cover band.
You look like you should be starting a Mumford & Sons cover band.
No, you're Ohio as fuck. No. Yes, you are.
I don't look like Mumford & Sons.
What, some trailer trash metalcore or something?
I look country.
You look like you should be churning butter. Exactly.
Yes.
And what does Mumford & Sons look like? They should be churning fucking butter, okay? I'm spot on.
They're
and
like
you're not.
Scottish. I mean, I guess they can still
They're
butter.
folk music.
Did you know that folk music is just country music who wants to be cool?
You're proving my case.
I'm just saying. There's no difference.
Deal. Because you proved me right. Thank you.
So, like I said, these site applications were getting denied because the Department of Education's like, hold up. There's a lot of you guys. This made Bock angry, and she sued the Minnesota Department of Education, saying that they were being discriminated against because they were providing services for mostly immigrant families. That kind of fell through. The whole thing fell through. What was actually happening, though, was that Feeding Our Future was saying that they were serving thousands of children every single day. Like one site would sometimes be feeding 5,000 children. Just one site. These sites would have these sites that were claiming these super high numbers, they would have just opened and also had very little staff to support such a turnout. One example pulled from the AP News, from the Associated Press, Feeding Our Future offered a restaurant owner who lived in rural Minnesota $40,000 a month to use his restaurant as a distribution site. Now, this restaurant typically served a couple dozen people per day. So having this sort of money fall into their lap was an absolute no-brainer, especially during a pandemic when you couldn't have regular service. Feeding Our Future used this restaurant for 11 months, and during those 11 months, billed the government $1.6 million for meals. They gave the government, because when some of the information that the government would collect was, you'd say, oh, I gave meals to this many kids. Well, they needed the names of the students or the children. They're necessarily students. So they gave the names. This site gave the names of 2,000 children to the government, saying that they provided meals for those children. However, this was half the population of the local school district. And when the names were finally ran and they were going to check to make sure they were legitimate, only 33 of them matched with current students in the district. So they were just making up names. It actually said that they were using a name generator from the internet.
Nice.
To just make these names up.
It's better than making them up off the top of your head. You're going to run out of them after like 10. All right?
You're just not good with names.
Yeah. What? Spencer, Tina, Tanya, Rodrigo, Chris, Derek.
Mike Hawk.
It's so nice. It's just, I love the dichotomy we bring here. You know? For all the people who like watch Family Guy. They come here for you.
I know they do.
All right.
They come here to learn a lot.
Anyone else? This guy. Good.
It's funny because it's like Mike Hawk.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
Yeah, you get it.
Penis, yes.
It's funny. Feeding Our Future also received $18 million in administrative fees. Feeding Our Future employees solicited and received both bribes and kickbacks from companies who were sponsored by Feeding Our Future. They were described as consulting fees, and they funneled the money into shell companies to make it seem legitimate.
Oh, damn, they're doing like hardcore fraud.
Yeah, no, they're actually doing like legitimate fucking fraud.
I thought it was just going to be them opening it and like not really doing it, but they've set up shell company networks.
Yeah.
Jesus, okay.
It was bad. All
right.
So it's said that members of the Somali community actually became suspicious of the nonprofit in 2021. People who were running these food distribution sites were suddenly flaunting wealth that people knew that they didn't previously have.
Showing up like BMWs with fucking like spinners on them and shit.
No, literally, because some people,
they're like iced out. They're like, "What's up?" They have like rings that say "food giver" on their knuckles. You're like, "Yo, bro." Everyone come in, get these fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Hell yeah. Some of the people who were working at the food distribution sites were in Section 8 housing before they began running the distribution site. But then after like a year, they were buying $1 million houses and driving fancy cars. So it just didn't make any sense. They weren't smart with the money.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No.
That's so obvious.
And this is kind of what... This was kind of this, what is it? Not the bell ringer. Whatever. This is how they got found out.
This is the smoking gun.
The smoking gun.
Smoking gun.
I was going to say
these are the
Nixon
Nixon
singles.
These are the Watergate tapes.
Yes, these are the Watergate tapes. All right. There is a video that surfaced on Facebook in 2021. Now, the video showed one of Bock's employees receiving an extravagant wedding present. It was like a golden laden cart. All right.
What?
It was like a cart with a bunch of gold on it, but it was with real gold.
Okay, so here's the thing. The only thing I can imagine is a shopping cart.
Anyway, someone received this golden cart as a wedding present.
Well, since you don't know, I'm just going to assume that it is a golden shopping cart. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be canon.
Yes, that's fine. You can think that.
An Aldi shopping cart, but made out of gold.
That you put 25 cents in to use?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was covered in real gold. And, I'm going to butcher this name. Abdihakim Nur, who is the one who shot the video at the wedding, heard that the gold came from employees of Feeding Our Future and that people were getting rich from the nonprofit. He knew something wasn't right and he contacted the authorities. Nur said, quote, "We cannot close our eyes to such corruption, which would put our entire community's name in the news as fraudsters and criminals when we only have a few bad apples." 5 days after being tipped off, the FBI raided Bock's home. Of course, when she was arrested, she claimed that she had done no wrongdoing. Although her boyfriend is a convicted felon, Bock herself had never gotten more than a speeding ticket before the investigation happened.
Hey, some people are just into bad boys, and that's okay.
No.
Well, it's not okay. You should introspect and understand why. If you're only with people that are not good for you, maybe why we're choosing those kind of people. But it's just some girls are just into bad boys, you know?
You don't have to do all that right now.
Whoa. We're not calling out anyone specifically. we're not saying anything about anyone here specifically.
I don't like bad boys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're not talking.
I just like boys that are bad for me.
You know what? Quite often they are the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
I like artsy boys with nose rings that hurt my
Oh,
feelings.
he's so toxic. I love it.
Well, I don't realize that they're toxic.
Of course.
I don't know that until after they become toxic.
They were toxic the whole time.
Well, I know, but I didn't know it. I just thought we were having fun.
I said we're not talking about anyone specific.
Oh, yeah, not me.
It could be either one of us
It's you.
that's into bad boys.
It's Kashan.
Maybe. You don't know.
Yeah. So upon her arrest, Bock was forced to turn over $185,000 that was in her bank account and the keys to her Porsche. Authorities also seized $13,000 in cash from her residence. Apparently 50 officers came in and broke her door down, which I do think is a little extreme.
That sounds like it might be
Fabricated?
Yeah, that's a little bit much.
Yeah, no, this
How
was,
would you even fit 50? Like,
well,
if you put 50 people in my house?
No, that's according to Bock. Like, Bock said that 50 FBI agents broke down her door, and it's like, I don't think that that's true.
There's probably like 2 people, and they probably knocked. They're like, hey.
There's 50 people.
You are arrested.
She's like, no. 2 weeks before the FBI raided her home and her bank accounts were frozen, Bock had actually set up a GoFundMe for Feeding Our Future too. This GoFundMe account generated $74,000.
Feeding Our Future too?
Mm-hmm. It's like Back to the Future.
What a lazy... You just slap a 2 on it. It's another company. It's not... Yeah, it's not a terrible sequel. You know, you can't just say, like, The Hangover 2. No.
Shrek 2.
At least give it...
Arguably better than Shrek 1.
At least give it, like, a colon, like a subtitle, like something.
Feeding Our Future. The backup plan.
Yeah, Feeding Our Future, the feeding, you know?
Feeding.
Just something. Please.
Well, Bock said that she made the GoFundMe and she needed the account as a backup in case anything ever happened to Feeding Our Future, like a government shutdown or something like that. Because if the government were to shut down, they would not be able to distribute food. They would not be able to get their money, which, okay, I guess.
That's going to be hella topical for anyone listening to this episode 25 days from now.
Yeah.
So
6 of the main contributors to the GoFundMe were people who eventually were charged in the case. Isn't that convenient?
Oh, cool. There's laundering money.
Yeah. In total, the government was billed for 125 million meals that were not distributed. Instead of feeding children like they claimed, the people involved with the scandal bought homes, cars, and other luxurious items, stealing from people who legitimately needed food. So this is going to show you how crazy this got over time. So Feeding Our Future was given $307,000 in reimbursements in 2018. They were given $3.5 million in 2019. $42.7 million in 2020 and $197.9 million in 2021.
Jesus.
You
can probably see what they started getting.
Yeah. This is why they were getting suspicious because, like, I do think at one point they were legitimate.
Yeah, when they were getting $307,000.
Yeah, when they were doing $307,000, I do think that this was legitimate. Once we got over a couple million, fishy.
Yeah, it's probably that like 10-time jump between 2018 and 2019. That's
yeah,
really
I think.
And then they saw, oh, we can do this, and then they were just like, well, let's just take it out, and they 4 times it again.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. 60 people have now been charged with this case and stole more than $250 million from the government. It is the largest pandemic fraud scheme that we know of to date. As of September of this year, 12 people have pleaded guilty in their involvement with the scheme. So from what I can tell, Aimee Bock, however, is walking the streets free. She pled not guilty and was released. This is an ongoing investigation, so hopefully she will serve time in prison for what she has done.
I mean, I'm sure they're just building a case then if they have 60 people, you know, that are charged.
Yeah, because honestly, before last year, they only had 48.
Because you know what they're...
And now they have 60, so it keeps growing.
You know what they're probably doing? They're probably getting other people to, like, confess and flip on her.
Now, there have been a couple people that they know are guilty who fled the country before arrests started happening. So they're not going to get them.
Well, yeah.
Unless they extradite them, but I don't think they will.
That's not going to happen.
They're not going to extradite
We
them
learned last week just how hard it is sometimes to extradite someone.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they're not, and not over this, honestly.
It takes so much money. You got to like kill somebody or steal a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, like, granted, this is a lot of money and what they were doing was completely wrong. However, this was divided up between at least 60 people. So, I mean, everybody's getting over $1 million if we like cut it even. So, but it's not enough to extradite someone over.
No.
So,
no, it would literally cost like that much money just to get them back. Mm-hmm. And when you were already just stealing from the government, so they would just be throwing more money into getting it.
Yeah, it'd be pretty counterproductive, to be honest with you.
Is it awful? Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So it's fine.
So, according to the Associated Press, over $200 billion of COVID relief money has been stolen. Billions of dollars that were supposed to be poured into our country during one of its most vulnerable times has been stolen by greedy people who are more concerned with lining their pockets. Aimee Bock and everyone associated with Feeding Our Future was no different. Instead of doing what was expected of them, Bock and others drowned themselves in money while the government was only trying to put food in the mouths of hungry children who needed it most. Bock and everyone at Feeding Our Future are the worst kinds of humans, ones who are willing to benefit off of the misfortunes of their others' misfortunes for their own gain. Feeding Our Future, more like feeding our bank accounts.
You just fucking know these people are like, I'm stimulating the economy by buying this fucking Porsche. And you're like, those aren't made in America. You're stimulating someone else's economy.
Literally. Which honestly, Italy aren't they made in Italy?
I think so.
Italy was pretty bad during the pandemic. They probably still are.
It was very bad. Yes,
they were
one of the worst ones.
So I guess if you're going to stimulate anybody's economy, stimulate Italy.
What did you just say?
Italy.
What are you saying? What is that word you're saying?
Stimulate.
No, but you said something that was like stimulately. What the fuck was that?
Stimulate Italy.
Oh, yeah, it just sounded like stimulately.
I guess I like talked in cursive for a second.
You put them into a portmanteau.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm. Which we learned what that was. How many episodes ago? A lot.
I don't remember.
We defined a portmanteau.
Well, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. This was a short one, but if we get any updates on this case, we will let you know. Hopefully they will, because fuck all of them.
From our ears to your ears.
Fuck all of them?
No, if we get any updates.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
From our ears to your ears.
To your ears.
A direct ear-to-ear connection, baby.
Well, if you liked what you heard and you want some more direct ear-to-ear connection, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook.com/WhiteCollarsRedHands. We are on Twitter at WhiteCollarsPod. We are on Instagram at WhiteCollars_RedHands. We're on TikTok at WhiteCollarsRedHands. Now we are also on YouTube. Go follow us on YouTube. You can actually watch full episodes there. You can see our beautiful faces.
Oh my God.
I look hot as fuck right now. So, yeah, you're missing out if you're only listening on your phone.
I'm gonna have to pre-record something to put in the beginning about our make sure you go to follow us on YouTube, because on October 27th, we are having a live show over there, where we're going to do a live Q&A at 7 p.m. on October the 27th. There's already a preview set up for it. So if you go and you subscribe, White Collars Red Hands on YouTube, then you'll already know what it is. You can hit a notification. Make sure you're there for it at 7 p.m. Central. Mm-hmm. So make sure you show up and hang out with us there, and just grow our subscriber count. Get some more eyes over there. Yeah, be able to see us and ask some questions, please. Please. We wouldn't be around here if it weren't for people like you actually listening to the show.
No, that's true. It's true.
And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to answer your questions, and we'd love to just hang out with you for a little bit. So please do that. Yes. And also, wasn't that pre-recorded piece about that at the beginning of the show so good? Mm-hmm. Oh.
God.
Knocked it out of the park.
You really did.
Knocked it out of the park, me.
You did. You really, really did. If you want another way to support us is if you do hear of a white collar crime story and want to send it our way, you want us to cover it, please do so. You can DM us on any of our social medias, or you can email us at whitecollarsredhands@gmail.com. If you want an unfree way, you want to pay some money, give us a little cash. You can buy some of our merch. If you go to our website and click on the merch tab, it will take you over to TeePublic, and you will be able to buy some merch from us. And also a free way, just tell a friend. Tell a friend about the podcast. I feel like word of mouth is really how people get listening to stuff. So
slip notes. Just slip notes into them, and then they're like, "Why do I keep getting these notes about listening to White Collars Red Hands?" Break in their house, put a note in their freezer so that
you
they
can
get
whisper,
it in like 3 months.
You can whisper to your lover while they sleep, so it goes into their subconscious.
Not while they're sleeping, while they're fucking balls deep. Just pull them in close and be like,
"White Collars Red Hands."
Oh yeah, please. If you do that, I could stop podcasting.
White collars.
I could stop. My life would be complete, and I'd be happy. So do that. Do whatever you. Be you. Live your fucking life.
Do you think anybody's ever listened to our podcast while having sex?
I hope so. I hope we're on right now, and you can barely hear this outro over the sound of cheeks clapping. You know, Yep. I've been feeling trapped, baby. All
right, this is unhinged. All right, thank you so much, and we will see you next time on another episode of White Collars,
Red Hands.